Left versus right, us versus them. While we pay to keep our politicians fighting, how do we, the people, rise up and solve the great challenges of our time? We do it by embracing freedom and liberty. There may be no such thing as a free lunch, but this hour is as close as it gets. Welcome to A Free Solution.
All right, welcome everyone to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you being here. We're live here on WYSL until 1 p.m. And that means that you, the listener, you can call in, participate in the discussion. It's 585-346-3000. That's 585-346-3000. If you want to chat with me, weigh in, agree with me, disagree with me, whatever you want to do, chat in, as long as you keep it relatively polite and and keep it clean because we're on air. We're also broadcasting over at thank you to everyone who's listening over at WACK out in Newark and WENY, the Patriot, down in the Southern Tier, listening to the rebroadcast later on. Appreciate y'all listening as well, and our friends listening online. You can always comment there as well. And today I'm going to talk about the new CDC guidelines on masking and all of the changes Governor Cuomo's making to allow us a little bit more freedom. He's so generous. Thank you, King Cuomo. Thank you for allowing us to be at the bars just a little bit later now, to open up outdoor stadium capacity just a little tiny bit more. Oh, thank you. You're so generous. So we're going to talk about all that stuff, and then I'm going to talk to you about reading past the headline, because there's another side to this discussion, and I want to talk about there's this study that came out, and all the headlines around it said the 6-foot rule is meaningless, right? And people kind of took this and ran a bunch of different directions with it, and I think this study specifically shows the danger of two things. One is arbitrary government restrictions that are imposed on people and how that can be dangerous. But it also shows people kind of running away with the headlines and not really understanding what the underlying study says. So I think there's two sides to this one, and I'm kind of caught in the middle, being frustrated at everyone. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show. But first, let's talk about what the CDC said and their new guidelines. They are allowing. There's always a suggestion. It's not in most places enforced by law, but they're allowing fully vaccinated people to do more activities. No, what kills me about that, they put out a nice chart, right? Nice little chart. What can we do now that we're vaccinated? And when you look at this chart, you look at it and you're like, man, what's the point of being vaccinated? Like, why? Look, half of these things that they say we can do, we still have to wear a mask for. What the heck? Like, why are we doing this? And again, I come at this from like a pro-vaccine perspective. I got the Moderna vaccine. I'm getting my second one Saturday. I'm generally pro-vaccine because I would rather be protected from this. I don't want to get this thing. I don't want my wife to get it. I don't want my kid to get it. I don't want anyone around me to get COVID. And me getting the vaccine makes it less likely that the people around me are going to get sick, in addition to me getting sick. Great. I'm pro-vaccine. But now the CDC is going around telling us, like, well, for most things, you should still keep wearing a mask. Well, why? And again, I say this as someone who's like generally pro-mask. I think masks serve a purpose in certain situations. But now they're saying fully vaccinated people should continue to, wear masks indoors. They should, wear a mask whenever they're around an unvaccinated person. Okay, maybe, we got between, even after the first shot, you get between like 80 and 90% protection from this. After the second shot, you get 90 to basically 99.99% protection from this. And I say that number's that high. I know you're seeing like 95 around there, but they did that study and they said, 5,800 people got COVID after getting the vaccine. That's like 5,800 out of millions and millions of people. It's actually pretty good. And you're not getting too sick. But you're supposed to wear it while still going to restaurants, and you're supposed to wear it while going to large in-person gatherings, even outdoors. There's all these restrictions that they're still recommending. go to an outdoor event, still wear it. They say we can wear it outside, or we don't have to wear one outside. If you're unvaccinated, they still recommend it. If you're attending a small outdoor gathering with fully vaccinated and unvaccinated people should wear your mask. Listen, guys, if you're not, I'm not a doctor or anything, I'm not a public health official, but we've known for a while that being outside is relatively safe. It's fine. There's good ventilation. It helps. And actually, that study that I'm going to talk about later in the show kind of talks about the importance of ventilation. You're probably fine as long as you're not like on top of people. Don't breathe down their neck. Maybe don't make out with strangers. You're probably fine. We don't. What are we wearing masks outside for? But they're saying dining at a restaurant with multiple households, so you can keep your mask off for that if you're vaccinated. If you're unvaccinated, you can't do that. Shouldn't attend an outdoor event if you're unvaccinated, but still wear your mask going to the barber, to shopping, to ride public transport, to go to the movies, to go to church, to go to a bar, to exercise and go to the gyms. What's the point of government restrictions on this, right? Like, so again, I get if you're a private business and you think that a significant portion of your customer base is going to be worried and you don't want to check vaccine status at the door, like, I get that. Businesses, you get a bit of a pass from me. I know not from other people, but you get a bit of a pass from me. If Wegmans is like, no, we're going to still want people to wear a mask in their store for the next few months, like, whatever, I get it. They want to ask you there. But at some point in time, right, we're looking at, like, last I heard, like, over 50% of Americans had at least one COVID vaccine. That's pretty good. There's a lot of people, like, at this point, the capacity for vaccines has outstripped the demand. That there's more vaccine supply than people who want a vaccine at this point. Now, some people are still getting it. They're just getting it a bit later, getting myself included. But everyone who wants one is going to get one. So how long do we kind of keep up this rate of, like, wearing masks and social distancing, or worse, lockdowns like we're still seeing in some states? Why are we still doing this? And including in New York State, and I'm not going to get to that this segment, but in New York State, where Governor Cuomo's still limiting capacity at all these places, how long do we keep this up? What's the end game to this? When everyone who wants a vaccine has gotten a vaccine, when everyone who is protected can't participate in normal society anymore, what's the end game for this? Why are we going to continue being restricted in this way? Again, I say this as someone who's generally pro-mask, but it builds mistrust among government officials. It makes you feel like it's all arbitrary. And guys, it is all arbitrary. It feels arbitrary. They're not following the science at this point. Like, we can look at what some of the studies say about, like, COVID transmission outdoors and among vaccinated people. Like, there's no data at this point to say what sort of activities are safer or not safe. And you get folks like, I know James says, I love people who wear masks in cars. Yeah, if you're with people from another household, I guess, wear a mask in the car. But it's always funny when you see one driver and they're wearing a mask in a car. I don't get what you're doing there. And says, it's about control. It starts to feel that way. Well, listen, if you don't want folks to get paranoid about this stuff, if you don't want people to start feeling like, well, this is just about controlling people, well, then we need to follow the actual science. Like, we've known for a while, even if you're unvaccinated, you could probably go outside and as long as you're not right on top of someone, it's fine. Yeah, you don't need to, wearing a mask doesn't really do anything in that sort of environment. But when you tell people, and again, there are these folks, and I see them in the local Facebook groups, and I see them on Twitter, who are still like, oh, you're irresponsible if you're telling people it's okay to wear masks, not okay to not wear a mask outside. You're spreading disease. And I see even some of the moderate Democrats saying, like, no, it's probably fine to not wear a mask outside. And they're getting roasted in the comments and in the replies to their tweets and their Facebook posts, where it's like, no, it's probably fine. And these people are terrified. They're terrified of doing that. And I'm not, guys, the anti-maskers, I'm going to get to you at the end of the show, I promise. Because y'all ain't gonna go out of the show unscathed too. But if you want to participate in the discussion, if you have thoughts on the restrictions coming from the federal government or the restrictions coming from New York State, give us a call. I want to hear you. I want to hear what you think about Governor Cuomo allowing us to do a bit more. Give us a call, 585-346-3000. That's 585-346-3000. Appreciate you listening here today on A Free Solution. We're going to be back in just a few minutes.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
When you've been seriously injured in a car crash, you need a lawyer who knows how to beat the big insurance companies. Call me and I'll take them on so you can focus on your health and family.
Car crash, call Salino. Salino, call Salino. 888-2020.
Main Street, Rochester. A message from the National Police Association. It used to be that any able-bodied person would offer to assist a police officer in danger. Now, passers-by are more likely to take a video. There's a better use for your phone when an officer's in trouble. Call 911. Tell the operator where you are and what you see. Then, start your video to provide evidence later. To learn more about how you can assist law enforcement, visit nationalpolice.org. That's nationalpolice.org.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
A free solution.
You don't wear a mask for yourself. You wear a mask to protect me. I wear a mask to protect you. You could literally kill someone because you didn't want to wear a mask.
Oh, Andrew Cuomo. He's just making it up as he goes along half the time. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And we're going to talk about the restrictions that he's keeping in place, the stuff he's lifting, keeping in place, the stuff that the New York State Senate is doing, and also just the terrible messaging that the CDC is having. You know, if they keep pushing the message, yeah, you're going to have to wear a mask forever, like it undermines the case for people getting vaccinated, which I think is actually resulting in the drop that we've seen in COVID cases in the last few weeks. It's helped. You're undermining your own case. Goofballs. All right, but it sounds like we have a caller on the line. Andy from Rochester. Andy, what's on your mind, sir?
Hey, I was just wondering when are we all going to stand up and say, listen, this is enough? You know what I mean? This has gone on way too far.
You can do it right now.
It's like, why are we standing on and just letting this happen to us? Why can't we all come together as humans and say, listen, this is enough?
Yeah, Andy, I'm gonna throw out a theory to you, and this is what I think is going to happen. So over the next couple months, people get vaccinated or you don't get vaccinated, but you start to build herd immunity, whatever. Like I think people are just going to start ignoring it. Like I'm kind of getting to that point too, where I'm just like, all right, I'm fully vaccinated. I understand what's going on here. Like, why would I follow these arbitrary rules anymore? I think people are going to start ignoring it, and then government later on is going to catch up and be like, oh, finally, you have your rights back. And we're like, well, we've been doing that for months now. Like, come on. And that's what I think is going to happen. People are just going to ignore it. The government's going to, they're just going to catch up a few months later. Maybe.
I see they're trying to mandate stuff, though, in certain areas.
They are. There are still fanatics out there. Like I've heard, like the state of Oregon is still trying to lock stuff down. Our buddies up in Canada, up in Ontario, they're going on a full lockdown right now. It's wild.
Wow.
Like it's and again in the United States anyway, we're seeing like a decline in cases, and we're seeing open states like Florida doing fine. The good weather, being outdoors, increased vaccination rates, all these things they contribute to this going away. So at some point in time, Andy, I agree. We have to just be like, okay. We're looking at the evidence. You guys don't know what you're talking about anymore. You just got to stop listening to them. The problem comes when the government decides to enforce those restrictions anyway, and that's what we've got to look out for. And when government continues to enforce these restrictions after they've stopped making any sense at all, and I think we're if we haven't already gotten there, we will in the very near future. Like, we've just got to stop listening, and if the government's going to violate our rights, we've got to come together and show them that that's unacceptable, and that we're not going to tolerate that anymore.
Exactly. I agree.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, I appreciate your call, Andy. Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. We've got to stand up to him. And I know Will says, we're at that point wearing masks outdoors. I didn't do that almost at all. And I get Will's making fun of me because back in the beginning of the pandemic, I was like, no, I'm going to wear a mask outdoors. And, and now I'm like, all right, yeah, that was a bit silly. I got a bit overboard. I got a bit paranoid about it. I did that in the first, couple months, right? But we knew by June last year, it doesn't really do much. It just, the sunshine kills it really quick. The wind disperses it really quick. Unless you're, again, literally right on top of someone. So that's their justification for the concert thing. But even then, if you have some ventilation going through there, it's probably fine. And I don't know, that's what we saw. And another comment too from Will online. Again, if you listen on Facebook, I know some of you listen on the radio, you can always call in like Andy did, 585-346-3000. If you listen on Facebook, on the Free Solution, or on the Kevin Wilson page, or on the Free Solution YouTube channel, or on Twitter, any of those, or on all those platforms, leave us a comment and I'll read them on air if they're good. And then Will says they'll push us as far as they think they can until they think they no longer have the creed of the people. They no longer have support. Yeah, right. It's, again, government and politics, I think, are a lagging indicator of culture, and they're going to eventually catch up to, oh, people just aren't listening to this anymore, and then they're going to pretend like, yeah, no, we're with you all along. And that's what Governor Cuomo is trying to do, except for he's trying to give the illusion that what he's doing is rooted in science, but it isn't. And that's what he's really good at. He's like, I'll just increase it by this percent. And it looks like he's turning the knobs and levers of the economy and of public health to make sure he's calibrating to just the right amount of safety. Now, I'm going to read off what the new restrictions are now, and you tell me if this has anything to do with stuff that's making sense. So, outdoor sports venues, concert venues, live performing arts and entertainment, their capacity is going to increase from 20 to 33% beginning May 19th. So a couple weeks from now, it will suddenly be safe to go from 1/5 to 1/3 capacity at outdoor events, even though outdoor spaces are not a significant source of spread, and we've known that for a while. And they will, of course, still require you to wear a mask, even though when you're wearing a mask and you're outdoors, it's very safe. If they want to do at least one, I could kind of get it. It would still be dumb, but I kind of get it. But a third capacity and you got to wear a mask, are you kidding me? Now, you have that restriction. And then offices will increase from 50% to 75% capacity. So indoors, where COVID actually spreads, 75% capacity. But outdoors, where we're not getting any COVID cases, Again, where we've seen rallies half the summer with mixed mask use not being a significant source of COVID spread. Can't do outdoor stuff. Still 1/3 capacity for that stuff. But office space, you go to 75% capacity? What? How does that make any sense? Casinos and gaming facilities will increase from 25% to 50% capacity. You got to have the casinos. Gyms and fitness centers outside of New York City will increase from 33% to 50% capacity. And again, if you're wondering, again, is all this stuff arbitrary? Yeah, man. This looks it looks like he's just making it up as he goes along. His team's making it up. I don't see how this carries any logic based on the other stuff that we've learned over the past year. And I, as I've said in other shows, I'm relatively forgiving. I freaked out a little bit in the beginning too. I was like, well, I'm worried about this. There's a lot of people that aren't really quick. Like we should, take some measures to protect ourselves. It should be voluntary. But I'm a bit more forgiving of politicians who freaked out in March, April, May, and then realized, oh, well, now we know a bit more about this, and I've changed our mind. Than the people who are continuing the illusion that these things make sense. Another good comment from Will is New York State Fair is allowed to have 50% capacity. What? Because it's New York State? But you can't have, it's hard to have, firemen's carnivals and, other small events. And we're seeing this specifically in my city. We're seeing, all these outdoor events still get canceled. And I suspect that part of that is that the city government is still being nervous about that. And so it's making it difficult for people to get permits without proving them absolute safety. New York State Fair is going to be allowed to have a whole bunch of people at it, but your private festival can't. How does that make any sense at all? And the answer is it doesn't. It's all about giving the illusion that they're in control. I know a bunch of folks saying, they are trying to micromanage, control everything. They're trying to give the illusion that they know what they're doing in that thing. The fact of the matter is that the politicians, so a lot of health officials do know what they're doing, but some don't. The issue ends up being when they are guessing at this stuff and they err on the side of zero risk. We talked about this in last week's episode too. When you zero risk has a cost. You cannot possibly get to zero risk. You cannot possibly get to absolute safety. And if you do, that has other consequences down the line. It has economic consequences, mental health consequences. It has, and I talked about it in the case of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, but we can apply that same logic to these lockdowns, to these continued restrictions from Governor Cuomo. He wants to give the illusion that he knows what he's doing, that he's just only making the restrictions that are absolutely necessary and turning that up as in a scientific way when it becomes safe to do so. Let's not give him the credit to think that he's doing that. We're seeing that the Senate is also voting on repealing the rule that you have to buy food with drinks. That was always goofy. I think the goal was to try to get people to sit down instead of ordering drinks at the bar. Well, then just make that rule then, or tell people to do that, whatever. But the food thing was always dumb. Now they're opening up hours at bars too, as if going to a bar at 10 a.m. after 10 p.m. was going to be inherently more unsafe than doing it a few hours earlier. No, they're lifting those now. Great. Thank you, Governor Cuomo. We're supposed to thank him for this type of stuff. Like he's doing this, when he and his team understand when it's safe. No, it's not. They're all making it up as they go along. All right, so thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. If you want to participate in the discussion, either leave your comments online or give us a call, 585-346-3000. That's 585-346-3000. We'll be back in just a few minutes here on A Free Solution.
Listen for Dan Bongino afternoons starting in May. AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center. Tonight, a few showers out there. Any thunderstorms will clear early. Temperatures will drop back into the upper 40s. Thursday, a much cooler day, a lot of clouds. Numerous showers at times as Thursday in the 50s. Blustery and chilly with some showers Friday. Temps in the 40s and 50s. I'm Rich Cornelia, WYSL.
At Victor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Anthony Drive off Route 96 in Victor. Spring lease savings are big, like the 21 Jeep Gladiator Sport 4x4 Crew Cab, $219 a month for 42 months. A 21 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo 4x4 is just $269 a month for 36 months. Requires existing Grand Cherokee lease and be returning lessee. The 2020 Jeep Renegade Latitude 4x4 is only $159 a month for 36 months. Must be conquest or returning lessee. The 21 Ram 1500 Classic Warlock Quad Cab 4x4 pickup is just $159 a month for 36 months. Must be conquest or returning lessee. Use 2 Ram coupons while supply lasts. Lease through Ally. Jeep, America's iconic 4-wheel drive brand. $2,500 cash or trade and other conditions apply. Get full details from the dealer. Equipment and MSRP vary by model. We're here to fully serve Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram customers in Victor, Canandaigua, Macedon, Fairport, and throughout the Metro and Finger Lakes. Shop with confidence and safety and full CDC compliance. Victor, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, 6560 Anthony Drive in Victor.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Abram is a 13-year-old profoundly deaf student at Mary Carriola's East Henrietta campus. Originally from South Africa, he not only had to learn how to communicate, but sign language too. Then came COVID and remote learning and all of its challenges. But thanks to the innovative team at Mary Carriola, Abram is flourishing, meeting milestones each day, and his progress is astounding. Help Mary Carriola continue our important work. Donate today at marycarriola.org. That's Mary, CARIOLA.org.
Take it, Tony.
How's that, Zach?
Terrific, man. Hold on. Hello.
Honey, we need help. We have company coming and the kitchen sink is clogged.
Oh, man, now I really got the blues.
What's a skinny, Zach?
Drain's backed up and we got company coming over. What am I going to do, brother?
Call Taylor. 500 Help. Their plumbing experts will fix things up and have you singing in no time.
500 Help. Now that's a hot number.
I think I'm really getting it, man.
Call Taylor. 500 Help.
Eisen Rochester is a full-service ophthalmology office, and we specialize in general ophthalmology, taking care of people from childhood to adult and seniors. We do general eye exams. We specialize in cataract surgery, corneal surgery, and disease, as well as LASIK surgery. We also have a full-service optical shop and contact lens fitting service.
Visit Eisen Rochester at 1157 Fairport Road.
Inside the Taylor Laboratories.
Hey, Tony, what you doing?
A little experiment, Zach. Look what I have under the microscope.
Ugh, what's that?
A sample of indoor air.
How can it be that dirty? Don't AC and furnace filters help?
Only with dust, Zach. But when Taylor installs a whole house APCO air purifier to detox the air, odors, chemicals, mold, bacteria, and viruses are removed.
For clean indoor air.
Yep. Ain't science awesome?
Taylor. 500 Help.
Remember Scotty's Detail Auto Body for all of your body paint and collision repairs. And also remember, it's still the collision shop of your choice during that unfortunate time. Scotty's Detail Auto Body, Route 15 East Avon, just a quarter mile north of I-390, exit 9.
A free solution.
All All right, welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host today. Thank you so much for joining us. We're here live on WYSL, which means that you, the listener, can call in and participate in the show, 585-346-3000. That's 585-346-3000. We're live until 1 o'clock. You can also comment in on Facebook, on A Free Solution, on Kevin Wilson page, on A Free Solution, on YouTube, and on Twitter as well. And if you're not listening to us live, we still love you too. Shout out to our friends over at WACK out in Newark and WENY, the Patriot, down in the Southern Tier. Appreciate you listening here today. And, we're talking about the arbitrary nature of the continued request for masking and the continued, mismanagement of the narrative about how we can return to a normal society post-COVID with a few different things by leveraging the information we understand about how COVID spreads, with vaccines, with better treatments for when people do get sick with COVID. All these are good, positive developments, but governments can't seem to accept that. And again, they're playing into the narrative, one, that you shouldn't trust them, which you shouldn't, but it's... I'm gonna take kind of a weird libertarian position. You shouldn't trust the government, but it is bad when too many people don't trust the government because it actually makes people more likely to want to get stronger people in power to fix that government. I've had this conversation before, but there's some interesting polling to back it up. It's a bad thing when people don't feel like they can trust government experts, etc. When people feel like the rules don't matter, they tend to want to bring someone in stronger to fix the rules, and I think that's bad for liberty. So I'll take the weird-ish libertarian position. You shouldn't trust the government, but when too many people don't trust the government, it can lead to some bad results. Maybe I'll talk about that more on some other show. But so you got these new changes to the rules. Governor Cuomo, thank you, King Andy. Starting May 17th, they're going to allow bars to be open for outdoor service after midnight. So nice of him, so generous. Indoor service, May 31st. Cool. Thank you, I guess. Thank you for lifting these arbitrary... The outdoor service thing, too, it kills me because, again, we've known for a while it's fine if you're outdoors. It is fine. What difference does it make if it is midnight or 10 p.m. or 2 a.m.? It doesn't matter. What's the logic behind that? Got me. And no comments that, you don't trust Fauci. Listen, I don't trust any government official because, again, I think they make stuff up often. And they want to look like they're in control. This is true. As I've established throughout this whole thing, I don't think that Dr. Fauci is always wrong, but he has a very weird way of delivering information. And I think it is imperative on you, the listener, to look at what the actual data says and then make decisions for yourself based on that. Don't take at their word what government officials say or even what public health officials say. Understand where the reasoning comes from, and you got to think for yourself. And that's actually a good transition to my next topic. Just because some public health official says something doesn't mean you should do the opposite either. That is not thinking for yourself. If you're just reflexively contrarian, you're reflexively doing the opposite of whatever some government official says, that's not really healthy either. You're still making your decision based on what a government official is doing. And you see that in some cases with the vaccine debate, where it's just a funny article. I wasn't sure if it was satire at first that said, I'm not getting the vaccine because it's going to make the liberals mad. Listen, I know people have good reasons for not getting the vaccine. There's some legitimate reasons not to do that, or for not having their kids get, the vaccine when that happens. when they released the COVID vaccine for younger children and they're out of the testing phase. I get that there are reasons for that, right? I can accept that. I get it. I respect you for doing that and making that decision, and government shouldn't mandate that stuff. But it is, man, just so disappointing when I see folks, conservatives, libertarians, others being like, I'm not going to get the vaccine because Dr. Fauci told me to. And I'm like, guys, that's you're not thinking for yourself. That's not, go look at it, make your evaluation on your own. You come to a decision that's not for you. Okay, cool. But like, because some government official told you to do something, if a government official told you not to lick doorknobs, would you go out and start licking doorknobs? No, you're not going to do that. That's stupid. Think for yourself. Don't be a sheep. Either way, don't automatically listen to whatever Dr. Fauci says. And there's some weird cultists out there who are like practically worship the guy and hang on his every word. And then there's the opposite of that. It's like, oh, everything he says is wrong, so I'm going to do the opposite of whatever he says. Don't do either of those. Think for yourself. Look at the evidence. My goodness. Get together, folks. To that end, I end up fighting with some of you online because I make the argument that masks are appropriate in some situations. I look at the evidence, say masks can help here, depends on the type of mask, depends on the type of environment that you're in. If you're outdoors, it doesn't really matter all that much. If you're indoors in a poorly ventilated room. Now, there's a new study that came out that kind of confirms some of that, right? The study is called A Guideline to Limit Indoor Airborne Transmission of COVID-19. Now, when this came out at the end of last week, there's a bunch of headlines that said, the 6-foot rule doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're 6 feet apart or 60 feet apart. It's all the same. Now, I got the guy I was fighting with who's listened to the show now, too. Welcome, Sean. Appreciate it. Frequent guest of this show. Disagree with you on this, buddy. And so there's a study that says this. The headlines all said 6-foot rule doesn't matter. You got to read past the headlines. You got to read into the actual article, read what it says, because this is an important discussion to be had on how government takes this assumption about, well, 6 feet is going to be safe. And well, now they're saying 3 feet. But they took the 6 feet thing and they said, okay, because we need 6 feet between people, we are going to limit capacity based on that justification because we need the distance between people to be at least 6 feet. Now everyone has to do that, and they have to have the dividers everywhere, and we still see the dividers all over the place. But now it's actually 3 feet, and that's fine. Well, okay, so that rule was always kind of arbitrary, right? Like I felt like they threw out the 6-foot thing just because it was don't breathe down someone's neck, because that's intuitive, right? Like if you're sick, don't get close to people, and if you're worried about getting sick, don't get close to people. Don't be breathing the air coming right out of their mouth. Don't breathe down their neck. But the 6-foot rule was always arbitrary. It never really made sense. There's some a little bit like droplet transmission stuff that happens. You're projecting 6 feet-ish, but it depends on, again, are you outside, are you inside, is there ventilation, it doesn't matter. You have to look at all the other variables in this case. And, looking at this, in this study, it doesn't say that mask doesn't work. It doesn't say that the 6-foot rule is useless in every situation. What it says is that it doesn't matter if you're in a small room for long enough. And I think that we can look at this situation and say, the government folks have got this wrong. They took this rule and ran with it and crushed businesses with it, with the 6-foot rule. But also, here's what we actually learned from this. Here are actual ways, if you are concerned about COVID safety, that we can take this information and turn it into something actionable. And if you're a private business or a school or a nursing home or whatever, here are some other ways to keep yourself safe. And here are some things that we thought were fine that aren't safe anymore. Look at the whole picture. Look at the actual data. Look at what's actually happening here. And again, I'm not a scientist, but I try to read this stuff and figure out what the heck is actually going on. How do I process this information to make sure that I'm acting in a manner that's safe? How do I understand how, if you're a business owner, how you can protect your customers or make them feel safer? Or, when you set up something in a certain way, how can you do that? And how do you get around the arbitrary government restrictions that this study now refutes. You get the distancing stuff, the glass walls. It doesn't matter. When we come back, I'll talk about the specifics of the study and what it actually says and why, the headlines all said, partially correctly, but you're missing the part of the picture. It doesn't matter if you're 6 feet apart or 60 feet apart. It does matter. All right, when we come back on A Free Solution, we'll talk about that. If you want to participate in the discussion, give us a call, 585-346-3000. That's 585-346-3000. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Hi, my name is Ryan Bourne.
And I'm Danica Bourne.
And we're the owners of South Coast Tax. We would like to thank our Lord for protecting us from evil. Psalm 91 states, "He is my refuge and my fortress, for he will rescue us from every trap and protect us from deadly disease."
South Coast Tax are Christian-based tax accountants and attorneys who specialize in releasing bank levies, wage garnishments, and filing complex tax returns. We are the leaders in acceptance of offers and compromise with awesome results.
We are also a small firm who will treat you like family and not just a number.
Call us today at 1-800-TAX-1176 for a free consultation, and we'll take the time to explain all of the programs that you qualify for in order to allow you a fresh start.
In John 8:36, so if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. And one way we can achieve that is by being debt-free. So let us help you today. Call us at 1-800-TAX-1176, and together we can help achieve this goal by putting the IRS tax debt behind you for good. Again, that number is 1-800-TAX-1176.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
A free solution.
All right, welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host today. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you being here. And we're here live on WISL. You can call in if you want, 585-346-3000, 585-346-3000. We're only live here until 1 o'clock, but shout out to our friends listening over at WACK out in Oregon, WENY, the Patriot down in the southern tier. Getting a few comments on here. It's great. Sean Ann says, you just hate science. He's joking. He's naming a few other things. And listen, like, Sean, all the stuff that you're putting in here, I'm not going to get to all of it. We've had this discussion before. I've talked about this stuff on my show in the past. I'm not going to get to the whole mass thing because I want to get to study. But, man, listen, I'm not going to get to all this stuff. There's an internet law that applies here, Brandolini's law. And like, some of the stuff you send me, man, it's if you've never heard of this, I just discovered this the other day. I'll read from Wikipedia. It's called the BS asymmetry principle, which says that it is much more difficult to debunk false stuff than it is to put out false stuff. The amount of energy needed to refute BS is an order of magnitude larger than to produce it. Dude, I ain't got time for that. And there's a debating technique that I see when I'm discussing some of this stuff with the rabidly anti-mask folks. Again, I'm generally pro-mask in the sense that there are some situations where it's useful. And what ends up happening when I'm in a debate with someone who is anti-mask to the point where they think it's actively hurting you, or that it's should be banned, that we should ban masks. There's a new word I learned or a new phrase I learned, the gish gallopins, where you just throw out a bunch of stuff. It doesn't matter. It's on the person responding. It's on me to debunk those arguments. But man, that takes a lot of time, because I have to go out and find the studies and explain to you what's happening, and then we've already thrown out more arguments. Man, dude, it's super frustrating to talk with some of these folks. Sorry, and I know but I'm looking at this stuff. I'm trying to give y'all an idea of like where to find the actual information to sort through all the nonsense, because you got the government nonsense, and then you have like the radical we should ban masks nonsense, and the truth is a little bit more muddy. It's a little bit more in the middle, and we shouldn't fall to arbitrary government dictates any more than we should completely throw out all the evidence that suggests that, there are actual interventions we can take to protect ourselves in a pandemic situation. We can sort through it and come to a nuanced conclusion, and that's what this study suggests too. Because what this study actually says, is, does it matter if you're 6 feet apart? Well, if you're in a room long enough, no, because we now know that it's not just droplet-based transmission, which is why all the cleaning theater stuff doesn't matter either. Like all the scrubbing down surfaces, obsessively, it doesn't matter either. That was nonsense too. And I was one of those people who was washing groceries for the first month, but we figured out in like May, that doesn't actually matter any. It doesn't matter at all. You don't have to do that. It's not how COVID really spreads. It's aerosol, right? So if you're sitting in a room with someone, it doesn't matter if you're 6 feet apart, because viruses are going to carry on little microscopic little bits of water. They're going to carry across the room, and eventually it'll spread out. It'll spread out in a way that's likely to get you infected if someone who is sick is in a room doing a normal activity, either just breathing or doing some other activity, singing, talking, doing whatever. And so what they found is, again, the 6-foot rule doesn't matter over time. It's not that it doesn't matter at all, but pretty quickly, and especially, in nursing home situations, within a few minutes, if you are there without a mask, doesn't matter if you're 6 feet apart, even with a mask, it helps a little bit, helps extend the amount of time that sitting in a room starts to pose a danger to someone else sitting in that room, even if it's far away. But there are things that you can do to mitigate that, like ventilation. If you have good ventilation, the amount of time that you can sit safely in a room is a bit longer, because that air is being circulated and cleaned, especially if you have a ventilation system that actually filters out viruses, which they do have that. So this is good for restaurants, schools, other places to consider what actually makes sense. And in the study, I've heard people say, like, this study proves that masks don't work either because masks aerosolize the virus. No, that's not what this says. In fact, what they found was that you can sit in a room safely for much longer if you're wearing a mask, because it reduces the spread. They talked about like a classroom situation, for instance, is that, if you're sitting in a classroom, even with cloth masks, which, have varying levels of effectiveness, it's 1.2 hours if you don't have any masks and you don't have ventilation. It's 7.2 hours if you have ventilation in a classroom. So basically a full school day. And that's why you're not seeing much spread in schools. And then it's a lot higher. 8 hours without good ventilation, 80 hours with a mask, with mechanical ventilation. So that's why we're not seeing much spread in schools. It backs up why it's safe to open schools. It backs up that there are safe ways for people to get back to the office. Why are we stuck at 75% capacity in offices when we know you could go in there and, if you're wearing a mask, it's fine. Do your thing. Or if you don't want to wear a mask and you're vaccinated, cool. We know that if you're vaccinated, you're pretty unlikely to get sick. And again, I'm acting accordingly. I don't want to wear a mask when I'm sitting in a meeting if I'm sitting around with people who have already had COVID or are vaccinated. What's the point of wearing a mask in that situation? Think for yourself. You don't have to I'm so sick of the people on the one side of this who are like, no, you need to wear a mask no matter what, even though you're vaccinated, and even though like I've already had COVID and blah blah. Dude, no, don't. Come on, think for yourself. Like, let's look at what this is. And then the other side of this, the saying that the masks never work. that it doesn't do anything to actually protect you. Well, it kind of does. It does a little bit. It's not infallible. It helps a tiny bit. And this study backs that up. This study isn't an anti-mask. It's a very pro-mask study. And then we should know that the 6-foot rule doesn't actually help. We know more about this now. What is the continued justification for Andrew Cuomo saying that we should be at, again, 75% capacity for office, or that we, in a well-ventilated situation like being out at a stadium, that we should reduce capacity, or even that we should reduce capacity at the state fair to 50% capacity, which is somehow higher than the stadium situation? Who knows? We don't know why, because people are going in and out of buildings and whatnot too there. I don't get it. In any of these situations, you can look at the evidence that we have and make decisions accordingly. You don't have to wait for people on either of the extremes to dictate your views. You don't have to do automatically the opposite of what government officials say, nor do you have to listen to them. That, like, when they make a restriction that makes it difficult for you to exercise your liberty, for you to open up your business, tell them to provide the evidence of that. Tell them to prove that, like, this is a restriction that is absolutely necessary. And let's discuss what the trade-offs are and the risks are of having a total safety mindset, because there are trade-offs. We can do better. We can look at the evidence and make decisions for ourselves. That's all I'm asking you to do here today. And so some other contents here. Some comments here. Jericho says, thanks for the discussion in level-headed manner. Context matters and data is important, but also how it's interpretive. I definitely believe in science because I'm a healthcare provider, but the media often leaves out context and often data to proliferate fear. Ugh. That's where we get so much division. Yeah, and the media does that too. The media lately has been fear, fear, fear. Oh my goodness, this is going to be, the next deadly wave is coming. Things are getting better, guys. The media is ginning up fear, but when we look at what's actually happening, things are getting better. We've learned some things are working, some things ain't, some things are working. Let's act accordingly. Let's open things up, get back to normal life. We can do that. We don't have to listen to these folks all the time. Think for yourself. A couple other comments. John has says, like a chain link fence that stops mosquitoes. Nah, man, that's it. It works a bit different than that. Again, I did a mass segment last week. I think last Wednesday. You can listen to that. I posted about it on Twitter too. No, the mask up a little bit. That's what it is. It can block 30% for a crappy mask, or like 80% for a good mask. It helps a little bit. So thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. Hope you found this interesting and useful. If not, well, I should love to hear from you. Leave us a message at the station or email us, contact@afreesolution.com. Thanks again. See you soon.